And a good evening to everybody in Speed Gaming chat. This is the Final Fantasy Randomizer League Stage 2, 4 white mages, off to kill Lich. And this is Ikben Maya, but you can just call me Maya on the mic. Joined this evening by Sforzando. Sforzando, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful. I don't know about you, but I'm always excited to see the non-traditional party, the non-traditional goals set up. And so we've got a fairly exciting Stage 2 flags match with our Kill Lich goal with our 4 white mages.
Look at all that pretty white cloth on the screen for our 4 featured runners tonight. Shofukamachi, Files, Split Punched, and Bismarck 189. Sforzando, I see that the race is starting in just a few seconds. Do you want to give a quick breakdown of what the goal is for tonight's race?
Sure. So the goal ultimately is to kill Lich down in the Earth Cave and nothing more. But there's a couple things that have changed from our standard randomizer, where we would normally have expected enemy scripts and spells and skills and shops and magic and all kinds of things to be shuffled. Everything is still shuffled with the exception of enemy scripts and the items in the weapon and armor shops and the item shops. So white mages are going to see a fairly linear progression as far as weapons and armor are concerned, though they will see the randomized spells. As we can see, we've got Harm 4 and Cure 3 in the white mage shop.
And that Harm 4 is a really important spell here because, as you know, white mages can't kill much unless they have some attack magic. And so Harm 4 is one of those extremely important spells that white mages are going to want to learn instantly. And we also see our runners picking up the iron hammers as our tracker tonight. Edgeworth calls them the squeaky hammers. If you can't find an attack spell like Fade, you can bludgeon everything to death. One hit point at a time.
Get a little difficult going forward because our enemy strengths are between 33 and 300%. So some of these enemies are going to be a little tough to whack with a hammer.
For example, Files down on the lower left there, looks like he got Gur Imps to start. He's running for the bridge already. There are 6 chests before you get to Provoca and the level 2 magic spells. There are 3 of them up in the upper left. Temple of Fiends. Up on the upper right-hand side, over here is Matoya's Cave. 3 chests worth of resources over there, too. It's important to watch our runners and see if they check those chests out before they head on over to Provoca to see what the level 2 white magic is.
The pirates get pretty interesting in this particular seed. As always, the runners are probably looking for something to easily take them out, whether it's one of the castable weapons like the mage's staff or otherwise. But thankfully, the pirates are a little more tame in this seed. As I mentioned before, the scripts aren't shuffled, which means in the original vanilla, the pirates could only melee. So the only thing that makes the pirates scary here is boosted stats.
And now on the upper left-hand corner of your screen, Shofukamachi taking a look at the Temple of Fiends chests. He found an iron staff. Unfortunately, a white mage isn't going to be able to use that. Looks like our audio today is with Files down on the lower left for now. Split Punch, I believe, went straight for the bridge and is heading over to Provoca. There's a wooden staff, only 248 gold up in the upper left. Shofukamachi resets out and will probably be leaving shortly.
Yeah, what you're going to find is a lot of players are going to skip Garland thanks to the early bridge flags that have opened up. Garland is a fairly unnecessary boss in this game now, since you don't need to kill him to activate the bridge, and you're not going all the way to the end, so he's relatively inconsequential.
Up in the upper right-hand corner, Split Punch dives into Matoya's Cave, finds the Adamant, which is hilarious because that's completely useless this stage. Also finds about 4,000 gold, and Split kept that and is going to go ahead and take that with him into this next town as some spending cash. Bismarck, however, is a little bit in front of him down on the lower right-hand side and is going to get to Provoca first, assuming I didn't just commentator curse him. And he's just been stoned.
The status effects are still shuffled as normal.
Bismarck making a beeline without saving, going to the pirates to go ahead and give them a try. Let's talk a little bit about the Fade, the all-important white magic attack spells, Sforzando. Can you explain to our audience a little bit what Fade means in this seed and how it changes your strategy?
So under the base game, the only thing white mages can very well kill are undead, which we'll talk a little bit, provided we find or don't find Fade. Fade essentially is like Nuke for black mages. It is a spell that just about decimates any particular party, any particular enemy, and if we find it early, we're going to find a fairly fast game. But the caveat is if we don't find it, the white mages are going to be relegated to only nuking undead and bashing things with hammer, which makes this game much more interesting.
So for those of you that have not watched one of these league races before, we have 8 stages worth of challenge flags that we have about 45 members of our community running together over the course of the next 4 months. We're in stage 2 right now, which is 4 white mages against Lich. We just came off of a low boost seed, and I'm going to put the season 1 standings up in the chat right now. Right now, of the 4 runners you're watching, Split Punch does have a perfect first stage, along with almost Sho Fukamachi has a .01. It's a little bit like golf rules. The lower the score you get, the better. Looking at White Magic, we have Wall at level 2, and also Ruse at level 2, and the all-important Exit spell.
Yeah, Exit's going to be dire in this because there's 4 white mages. It's difficult to get to the end of any particular dungeon. Exit's going to let them get down to the deep treasure chests that they need and allow them to get out fairly safely. Just to make you guys aware, we are tracking a large number of racers in this race. It's more than just the 4 that you see. We will keep our focus on these 4, but just know that there are 13 total racers, I think, or 17 total racers in this event.
Yeah, I believe we hit 17 before we launched the race. A lot of really, really good racers in this. Artea, who has a perfect score so far in the league, is in this race, as well as the 3rd place, 4th place, 7th place, 9th place, and 11th place runners. So we have a lot of quality in this race tonight.
And that's going to make this race really good for someone like me who's going to sit here and watch.
Yep, exactly. I'm employing bourbon strats this evening and just watching and laughing instead.
We're taking a look at the pirates, and it doesn't look like the pirates are too terrible. They don't hit too particularly hard. They've got poison touch, which could be rough, but I think most of our runners are enduring through.
I see a question in chat from Loyal Cavalier asking, who's the monster that forced all these white mages? I will fess up, it was me that came up with a lot of these challenge flags. But I really do enjoy this flag set and the 4 forced white mage parties, just because it forces our runners to stay on their toes, think really strategically about where they are, where they want to go, what enemy mobs they can kill, and which ones they need to avoid. And killing Lich is really not that hard. The problem is getting the ruby or getting the floater so that you can find him.
And so without checking the elf magic shop, Files has gone for the Peninsula Power Grind. Now, if you'll remember back at level 1, we had our Harm 4. This is going to be vital as he's trying to force the 4 Zombols fight for experience.
And you'll watch as he resets here over and over again until he gets that Zombol fight. There it is. 4 of them is the one you want to see. He's got Harm 4 charges in spades, and so he's going to go ahead and try to take as many of these Zombols out before his little white mages kick the bucket.
Unfortunately, he had 4 very low rolls for his first Harm forecast.
Looks like Split Punched in the upper right has the exact same idea and is going to go ahead and join Files for a little bit of a grind here to grab some levels. Levels are super important, especially for that all-important Fades spell. Your 3rd level magic spell you get at level 5. Your 4th level magic spells you start picking up at level 8. And if you're in level 5 or level 6 and you still haven't found Fade yet, you need level 12 or level 16 before you're going to get any charges. And so a grind can be super important.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where the cutoff is and where racers decide to give up their Peninsula of Power grind. Usually when I do it, I see to stop at like 13 or so, but you never really know what's on the other side of the horizon.
So we're watching Files as white mages run in circles here. He's looking for that perfect encounter and probably checking the encounter groups and lists here. That troll is going to be a problem. He only wants Zombols because he has really no ability to kill those trolls off. Shofukumachi with the adamant is going to go ahead and turn that in for the Excalibur. And the Excalibur is good for cash in this seed, and that's about it.
Yeah, one of the areas that they will struggle is getting money if they don't find large amounts of chests. Those zombies are going to be just about their only major source of income.
And I didn't check, or I didn't catch what Sho found in the 2 chests in the Dwarf Cave, but he's not running down to cash in any TNT, so it's looking like we have a Marsh Cave seed.
Marsh Cave is going to make things very interesting. There's some undead, and then some other encounters that are not undead, and then you got to think about those wizards down at the end. Looks like a total of about 8,000 gold in those dwarf chests. That'll be important come level 3 and 4 spells.
File's employing ruse strats here against the pirates. You can't kill what you can't hit, and that's File's strategy here. He's keeping his 1 white mage down. Sforzando, what are your thoughts about running with 4 white mages, or do you want to drop 1 or 2 of them so that the rest of them can grab some levels?
It really depends on what I really want to see what those 3 and 4 spells are before moving forward with that approach. In the zombie fight, he lost that first white mage, so it's really not going to be important to resurrect that one unless it could take 1 or 2 hits. But if you don't get Fade at a reasonable level and you're not just going to be spamming it and going through the game, perhaps a 3 white mage strat would be a little better, because a lot of the survivability sticks, and you've got Cure 4 up in the upper level 3 magic right there with Shofukumachi. Him and Bismarck are heading right for level 4.
So this is sort of the moment of truth now as Sho looks into the level 4 magic shop, and there is Fade. Fade is found in level 4, and so it's accessible before we go to Marsh Cave. Invis 2 also hiding here at level 4. So Fade at level 4, you're going to pick up a level 4 charge at level 8, and so you're not going to have a ton of Fade charges, but it is accessible.
I do wonder if the runners would go and revisit the Peninsula of Power Grind until they could force the zombie fight to get to 8, because it doesn't take too terribly long to get to 8 to get you 1 charge.
And hopefully 1 charge is all you need to clear out Marsh Cave. We're watching Shofukumachi go ahead in the direction of Marsh Cave now. He must feel like he can grab some levels along the way. So interesting play here. Again, the other thought is how many of these white mages do you want to keep up then? It will take you longer to level everybody up to level 8, 9, 10, 11. Or do you want to try to drop a white mage and just run with 3?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I have not tried the 3 white mage strat, so I don't know how it's going to work out. It looks like Files brought that one back. It looks like he's going to intend to keep that one leveled. So I don't think a Marsh Dive is a terrible idea with exit, so long as you can either manipulate the encounter table to get all the treasures that you need, or otherwise. The real trouble is going to be when he encounters those wizards.
Shofukumachi nearing the all-important Marsh Cave, and the dreaded Marsh Cave too. It's just as annoying here in Randomizer as it was in the base game. With the skills shuffle and the spell shuffle turned off, kept on for our Randomizer tonight, but the shuffle has been turned off. Anything with a spell in the original game will have a spell in this game too, but you don't know what it's going to be. What this means for Marsh Cave is that there is very little down here that's going to hurt you from a spell or a skill standpoint. You still do have to watch out for stun touch, death touch, stone touch, and all of those things.
And let's not forget, those wizards can hit like a truck.
They really can. If they rolled with 2 or 3 hits, watch out. Your little white mages aren't going to be long for the world.
The all-important top floor of Marsh Cave. We're going to see what's up there here in a moment.
4 chests up on the top side of Marsh Cave, and then the balance of them are down on the bottom of Marsh Cave where the wizards await.
That house is going to be pretty important later on. One of the things that is kind of undervalued is the amount of time a house saves you in recharging your spells. I know I lost one of these races during the preseason because I did not pick up a house that was in the vampire chest, and as such, I ran back to Melman to recharge my spells. In that time lost, which is probably 20 or 30 seconds, is about where I lost the game. So houses are pretty vital, especially if you're trying to just kill everything and maybe come out and refresh your spell charges for more levels or otherwise.
Yep, I totally agree. Those houses, they give you a great amount of healing. They recharge your spells, and you can dive right back into the fight, so to speak. We are noticing now, especially with Bismarck down here in the lower right, who's struggling a little bit with only one little white mage left. We have not seen any life spells yet. In any of those first 4 magic slots, as Bismarck takes an unfortunate wipe and is going to have to run back up to the top again. That may be a real consideration here later. If your white mages collapse, right now there's no way to bring them back.
Which is unfortunate, because it's a 50-50 shot. You would see either life or life 2 in the first 4 spells, or first 4 level spells.
Shofukumachi now making his way down to the bottom of March Cave. There are several chests down here. We do know that a progression item needs to be down here. It'll either be the TNT or the crown. Both of those open up additional options and additional areas for our runners to check. It's just a question of which one is found.
I would tell you I'm hoping for the crown, but because we've already seen Fade, that's going to make a crown pickup a lot less interesting for me.
Sforzando is referring to our friend Astos, who you need to change the crown into. And Astos can be a real meanie, so to speak, when all you have are iron hammers to hit him with. TNT sided for Shofukumachi, and so this is not a crown lock TNT chest. And so that sort of points us in the next direction. So we watch Shofukumachi exit out. He didn't even check the rest of the chests down there. So we'll see if any of the other runners do. Sho is going to go ahead and run back over to Elfland, save his game, and then cash that TNT in so that he can move on to the next portion of the game. Once you're outside of the Inner Sea, you can go visit Melmond. You can go to Crescent Lake. There's a whole host of options. And so we'll watch our runners probably run in 4 different directions.
Yeah, we're talking about what are high percentage plays here. Shofukumachi had 2 chests basically left to check, the wizards in the northeast corner of the room. We are looking for 2 items, essentially, one of 2 items that will make this into go mode. One is the floater, the other is the ruby. Both of those will give you access to Sarda to get the rod in order to get down to Lich. Other than that, that's pretty much what go mode here is in this particular mode. And so if you're looking for the floater, you have about a 2 in 91 chance that it was the chest that Shofukumachi skipped. We're going to find out here soon whether or not that pays off in the sake of time.
It is a bit of a gamble, a slight one, but a significant one. We'll see if any of the other runners check those 2 chests. The wizards are just scary to fight at any point, and then that other chest is just way out of the way up in the upper right-hand side. And Split Punt is checking the wizards. Here we go.
The wizards present a very interesting strat. If you can get your evasion rating up high enough, the wizards can't really touch you, and so it makes mailing them down slow, but very much doable. But with Fade, it's, hold Fade to win.
Yep, and down the wizards go. Only a soft potion in that one chest, so the only one we haven't seen yet that anybody can reach is the one up in the upper right-hand corner. So let's see. Split Punched is going to take the time to run up in that direction to take a look. Meanwhile, Shofukumachi is into Melmond, where the all-important silver bracelets exist. 15 absorb on those silver bracelets, and at a low price of 438 gold a piece, you're seeing him snap 4 of those up right away.
Yeah, the highest amount of Zorb you can get is going to be very important when it comes time to reaching B4 of the Earth, B4, B5 of the Earth Cave.
And so decision time now for Shofukumachi. He has really 4 dungeons he can check. You can take a peek into Earth Cave, and you need to go into Earth Cave twice in these flags. And I want to make sure that everybody understands why. Early Rod has been turned off in these flags, and so Sage Sarda will not give you the rod until you have killed the vampire who lives down the 3rd floor of the Earth Cave. That's an important consideration, and we've seen a lot of runners dive into Earth early because you have to go down there twice anyways. We're watching Shofukumachi. He has elected to skip that part, and he's going to head over to Crescent Lake, grab his canoe, and then he has 3 other dungeons he could go to. He could go to Volcano, he could go to Ice Cave, he could go to Ordeals, and remember, the real goal here is you need to find the next progression item. You need to find the canoe. I'm sorry, the canoe's here at Crescent Lake. You need to find the floater, or you need to find the ruby, which unlocks the bottom of Earth Cave. Sforzando, in this situation where we are right now, do you have a feeling of where you would go if you were running this?
I think that would purely depend on how many fade charges I had, because kind of the current meta, if you will, for these flags is if you have both fade and exit, to go ahead and do that vampire dive. There's really only one chest that's purely out of the way, and so it's kind of worthwhile to go ahead and do that dive, kill the vampire, and go ahead and exit out, checking all of the chests on the way. It's 16 chests, which is going to be tied for second most of the chests you could find anywhere. Though they are a little spaced out, Fade makes some of the harder encounters much more doable.
So we're watching Shofukumachi sail away. I didn't quite check to see what happened there and where he's going, because I thought he had already visited... oh, it looks like he might be doing an Ordeals play.
I like the Ordeals play personally. It's not the highest percentage play. There's only 9 chests in that dungeon. But one thing to note is there are still 2 incentivized chests, one in the Ordeals, one in the Ice Cave. Though, I have to add, there are some useless items that have sort of manifested itself. Not that the table has changed, but in this particular flag set, there are going to be certain items the runners absolutely do not need. Say the slab, that is absolutely useless. The adamant has already been found, but that's one of the potential items as well. From there, you could argue whether or not mass immune and ribbon are vital. So, you know, if you could argue that they're not, you've got a 50-50 shot of it being a useless item. And so some people will take that gamble, some people won't.
And even those useless progression items or those useless incentive items in this seed are useful, as we're watching Split Punt change in his adamant for a Excalibur that will sell for around 7,000 gold this seed. That 7,000 gold is going to come in handy. Shofukumachi now playing with the pillars in Ordeals. Yes, even the pillars are randomized in Final Fantasy Randomizer, and so we're watching Sho sort of pick his way through there. It's a maze. It's a different maze every time you run through the randomizer, and Sho will have to figure that out before he can get to any chests. White Sparks, I see you in chat. If this is your first time watching Final Fantasy Randomizer, welcome. And if you would like to see any more info, you can join our Discord, and I'll put that link up there shortly.
So a lot of people seems like they're opting to turn in that Excalibur for the turning in the adamant for the Excalibur for that extra money, and I can't say that that's not a terrible play because you're already on your way down here to blow up the TNT. Right now, we've got Sho making his way back in. I missed what he did, but one of the perils of taking a 4 White Mage party into a random Ordeals pillars is that you do not have access to the warp spell. So any decision that you make, if it is the wrong decision, it ports you backwards. Well, if you take too many of these portals, there is a possibility that your game will soft lock on you when you enter the menu. That's at about 30 or so portals.
We're watching our first route divergence. Oh, nope, we're not. Split Punch, I think, was thinking about going to Earth Cave and then reset it back out. Shofukumachi is in Ordeals, and we're going to watch our next 3 runners to see the direction that they head. But remember, for those of you that are watching us here on Speed Gaming, we have another 13 or 14 runners in this race that are also racing off screen.
a question in chat: what gets randomized? So in this particular flag set, it's actually more important to discuss what's not randomized right offhand. So the enemy spells and skills are shuffled, but their scripts are not. And what that essentially means is if they have a spell or skill, that spell or skill is randomized as part of the table. Anything that cannot cast a skill or spell will still only melee. Items in the stores, the item shop, the weapon shop, the armor shop, those are all in their non-randomized vanilla state. And this is so the white mages can have access to hammers, to armor, without the risk of putting it in a place that they could not possibly get to. The magic levels are still randomized, so at level 1 we found, say, Cure 3, Harm 4, etc. We found Fade at level 3, but the magic shops, thankfully, are not shuffled themselves. That would make this a whole lot worse. And then the enemy stats are between 33 and 300%.
Sho Fukamachi has made his way through the pillar maze and is now at the top floor of Ordeals checking chests. First chest was just a giant sword, not a whole lot there. Down in the lower right-hand corner of this floor, though, is the throne room, and there is an incentivized item, an item of some value down there. That's where Sho is most likely to find something he really likes. Defense sword found. Oh, wow. Sorcerers have
that's
toxic
not good.
Lookout. And so that's a great example of a randomized skill. Sorcerers don't have toxic in the regular game, but boy, do they have them here. And here it comes again.
Have we found the life spell yet? Did we find it in 5 or 6?
No, it wasn't in 5. I didn't see 6. Mummies look like they have poison touch as well. This is becoming a really, really unpleasant ordeals, and Sho Fukamachi resets out and we're just going to give it another try.
This might be like the Ice Cave from the last race. The Ice Cave had mages with thunder and wraiths that hit like trucks and just all sorts of unpleasantness. I love it.
So the randomizer giveth and the randomizer taketh away. Sho Fukamachi finds his Zombles again. Zombles are a little less dangerous this seed. Looks like they rolled with a little bit lower hit points than normal, and they don't have any of those spells or skills that can cause these white mages so much damage. Up on the upper right-hand side, you're watching Split Punch take out what we call the EXPs, which is a great encounter to find in the overworld here. Not too difficult to take down and give a lot of experience. So we'll watch and see how long Split Punch gains some levels here.
It looks like Sho took the Zomble fight, got his level, exited, housed, and got back in there. I am thinking that gives him a Fade charge.
Yep, that's super smart. Raijin, your question in chat. So why 4 white mages? Why would we do this to people? Because this is a Final Fantasy Randomizer League, we're doing some challenge flags. And the challenge for this stage is to kill Lich with 4 white mages as quickly as possible. 4 white mages, this is totally doable, and our runners are pretty experienced and can get this done. And so it's a race to see how quickly they can do it. There's the stare skill up on the upper left-hand corner with the Argoyles. That's something you don't see every day.
There's always something with those Argoyles. So we've got Bismarck now checking the Earth Cave. This is going to be a very interesting play. Now one of our featured runners is taking a shot. What he's doing right now is he is doing what we call encounter table manipulating. So the encounter table has a set number of tiles you can walk on before you encounter any particular enemy. And so this table is actually a fixed set of numbers. That fixed set of numbers is randomized. And so from a particular, what we call power cycle, you can count the number of steps for each encounter for, say, the first 5 encounters. And if you know you've got a long walk on one of your encounters, you would reset your game after a power cycle to force that particular walk. And it allows him to get some distance without encountering monsters, making his checks just a little faster.
And so the chat is reacting, and you're absolutely correct. Floater has been found. Floater was in Ordeals up on the upper left-hand, up in that incentivized chest up at top. So we are officially in go time for Sho Fukamachi, and anybody else that goes to Ordeals here. Sho is on his way.
And that's some pretty solid luck, because that could be one of, I'll say 7 at this point, because we already found our adamant. That could have been one of 7 different items for a low number of chests. Ordeals is definitely not the first play for a lot of players, but it's going to pay dividends for Show right now.
And Show dives back into Crescent Lake. We'll go ahead and re-raise his little white mage that took a dirt nap. Probably save his game, maybe do a little bit of shopping here. And he is off to do his first Earth Cave dive now. Remember, they have to do this twice. You have to go down and kill the vampire. You can exit back out, and then do a dive again to go ahead and kill Lich and done and end the seed.
Yeah, we're going to see, provided there's nothing extremely nasty with Lich, like, say, Lich himself doesn't have Thunder or encounter something deep down in there, this run could very well be over in the next, say, 8 to 10 minutes or so.
Files, meanwhile, dives into Ice Cave, which was one of the other dungeons that was out there as an option. Remember that there are 2 progression items that you can complete the game with. The floater is one, and we know that's in Ordeals now. The ruby is also hiding out there somewhere, and the ruby allows you to defeat the Titan and get to Sage Started that way. It's a little bit slower, but also a viable option. What we know from right now, Ordeals was probably the stronger play. Just because the floater is a little bit faster to cash in, and you move around the overworld a little bit quicker.
Yeah, but it's an incredible risk for these runners, because obviously these runners are blind to what the chests are going forward. They don't know to go to Ordeals first, and so it's kind of a crapshoot as to which dungeon they choose first, and those that choose Ordeals are going to come out on top.
So Sforzando, Earth Cave has the vampire, which is frightening. Lich can be a little bit of a challenge for lower level white mage groups. What else lives down here that our runners need to be thinking about and need to be worried about?
The bulls normally, I think, have a higher ambush rate, and the bulls can get some hits, and they can hit pretty nastily down here. In addition, I think oozes are high in the amount of damage they do as well, and that's an encounter 8 in, I believe, both floors 3 and 4, or perhaps 3, 4, and 5. I don't think I've seen Death Touch either. It's certainly possible that we could have a Death Touch monster down there.
Yeah, we saw Stone Touch on one of the enemies earlier in this seed, but no Death Touch has been found yet. So I just put into chat the link to our Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord. If you're watching this and would like to join us, we're a super welcoming, super helpful group. We would be more than happy to help you get set up with this randomizer and start running races with us. Even though you might not be a league member, we're more than happy to have you run in any race that we run. This is not closed to just league participants. We have new people joining the Discord every day and learning how to run this and running in races with us. And I think, Sforzando, I think you would agree that this has been an absolute riot to watch this community grow over the last few months.
Oh, absolutely. I jumped in probably early November, and so I caught the latter end of the tournament, and everyone has been very cool here on getting me on board and teaching me how the game sort of works and showing me the ropes, and certainly I'd love to pay that forward for any new players that want to come in.
Sho Fukumachi has finished his first dive into Earth Cave. He killed the vampire so quickly I didn't even notice. And so Sage Starda gives him the rod as a thank you. And he's going to go ahead and warp back out, head back over to Earth Cave, and he is on his final dive to finish this seed. Oh, apparently not. He's going to go shopping instead. Wow, so he's gambling a little bit on time here. This is proving to be a super fast seed. He wants to bring that extra white mage up. Level 8 and level 9. Sforzando, what do you think about his levels?
That's pretty early. I know he's got his silver bracelet absorb and other forms of absorb, but 8, 9 is really early, especially with the low number of fade charges that gives you.
Yeah, I agree that so with level 8 or level 9, you don't have that many fade charges. In the real danger here is that you're going to run into wizards, which are an unrunnable encounter. And you're going to run into them when your fade charges are depleted, which is just going to be an incredible time sink if he has to like poke at these wizards one at a time. So let's hope that doesn't happen to him.
I usually don't like to come in here until about 13 or so. You got about 200 hit points on your white mages. That will give you sufficient a number of charges in spell levels 3 and 4. It is a pretty high risk that Show's taking, but given how a lot of these races have ended, perhaps he feels like he has to do whatever it takes to just go.
And meanwhile, we're watching Split Punch do something a little bit different here. He has flown up to Gaia, which is not a place that you see all that often in these seeds. He bought some pro rings, and so that gives him protection against a few of the nastier elements in the game. So we will see whether or not the extra defense he's getting from that is going to pay off here, or whether the time sink to fly up there and do all that is going to work against him.
Looking at Files' screen, thank you for pulling your magic up. We do have single life 1 at level 6, so that's going to be one where you don't get that charge for quite some time.
Yeah, not till level 16 are you going to see a level 6 spell charge. And so, for example, Show is nowhere near that, and so he's running without it. And there's those wizards that we were talking about. That's 2 fate charges that he has to take to get rid of these wizards. A 9-pack of Spectre and Geists now for Sho Fukumachi. I hate this encounter. They always all seem to attack first.
One of the downsides to that encounter in general is that white mages have the lowest luck stat in the game, and so their run ability is pretty poor. So to encounter a 9-pack like that, if you fail on that first round of runs, as you can see, he's loading up a harm 4 on those encounters just in case his other 3 can't run. But that's gonna cost him a lot of time should he ever fail to run.
And I see your question in chat, Dr. Amamine, 50% chance of fade at what level? The fade spell in this round flags, it's really a tale of 2 seeds whether or not fade appears in the first 4 levels or in the second or the last 4 levels of the game. Because if you find it in the first 4 levels, you have the ability to cast fade early and get more charges so that you can find the TNT and break out of the inner sea. If you can't, these seeds can become very nasty very quickly when you're trying to do things like kill Astos or kill a bunch of wizards that want you dead and all you have are iron hammers to hit them.
And so Sho is beginning his bombing run of Earth B4.
Files now nearing the eye. We will see what was in this incentivized chest here, and either Files is going to be reasonably happy because he finds the floater, or he's going to be completely unhappy because it's something he doesn't want. And the survey says for Files, let's see what he finds here.
Oh, wow, it's the ruby. Well, he's not totally unrewarded for his efforts.
Oh, good for him then. So the ruby is here, which means that he can go ahead and finish the progression. He's got to be wondering though where the floater is. The ruby is sort of like a consolation prize, so to speak. You can finish the game with it, but it's not terribly quick.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just to kind of keep you updated on a couple of our runners off stream, unfortunately, this is a particular flag set that will punish the wrong decision, and so Zardia went Volcano for the bulk chest, which is normally a great play at 33 chests he could check. Now we've got Sho on the Lich fight, but unfortunately for Zar, he's going to come up empty-handed.
So here we go, Sho against Lich. Lich is not too terribly frightening. It depends really on what the spells are that he rolled with. The hold spell will paralyze one of them, but now here comes the fade charges.
And Lich is down.
And that was that. So with a SRL time of 37 minutes and 51 seconds, we'll call it, Sho Fukumachi has finished in first place. And so GG to him. He has wiped his chaos point from stage 2 completely away. and is taken first place in this race.
And that's gonna be all important, as one of the things to note about how chaos points work is that at 3750, it's going to be roughly 20 seconds or so. For every 20 seconds another racer finishes behind Sho Fukumachi, they earn 0.01 chaos points. And so as I'm looking over the wide swath of runners in this, we can see it looks like Split Punch might be the closest as he's heading down to the Vampire Room.
And I just posted the standings again for the league there. It's sort of like golf rules. The lower score you have at the end of 8 stages, the better you're doing. And so if you win a race in a stage, you get 0 points. And then every percentage of time over and above the winner's time, you start to rack up what we call chaos points. Chaos points are bad. You want to have 0 points, or as low as you can by the end of the 8 stages.
And so GG to Sho Fukumachi. We're going to try and get him in here for some post-game commentary.
We're still on board with Files here, who has his Ruby, and so we're going to see him take an entirely different sort of approach here to cracking open the Earth Cave. He's going to go kill the vampire, just like Sho Fukumachi and our other runners are doing. But then he's going to cash that Ruby in to the Titan. So the Titan's going to be fed today. So Titan fans rejoice. And then he will get to Sage Sarda that way. And so he will not need to find the floater in ordeals like the other runners have.
The downside to that is he has to walk everywhere he wants to go.
And I heard the ding-dong that tells me that I believe Sho Fukumachi has joined us in chat. Sho, congratulations. You've cleared your chaos point.
Oh, thank you.
And you've got a time of 37 minutes and 50 seconds. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was lucky that, Fade wasn't like level 1 and Floater wasn't an Earth Cave or anything like that.
We were talking about that. We were talking about that a little bit when you dove into Earth Cave both times, the first and the second time. You're pretty low leveled there, and so you did not have a whole lot of fade charges to your name. Were you worried diving down there that early?
The only thing I was really worried about was wizards, just because everything else you can run from, and Lich is susceptible to harm 4. So if I didn't have any fade charges when I got to Lich, it was okay, at least for me.
GG Sho. Tell me about why you chose ordeals first.
Recently I've been noticing like floaters kind of been popping up in ordeals, because before that floater was popping up a lot in its vanilla chest and ice cave. So I've been gambling a lot on ordeals lately. Plus, like zombies you can kill with harm, and pretty much everything else you can run away from. And with exit, kind of made sense, and I've been figuring out the ordeals, like warp things, pretty fast.
So we're now watching Split Punched, who is also nearing Lich. We know that Lich does not have a whole lot of hit points here, because I believe it only took 1 fade charge for Sho to take him down. Sho, you find fade in level 4, which is not terrible, but not great either. You must have been sweating, though. If it wasn't there, this would have been a very different seed.
Yeah, I mean, running into wizards with like no fade or any AoE items would definitely have been, changed my game and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, level 4, I mean, you get 1 charge at what, level 8 or 7 or something like that. So it wasn't terrible. So basically, I was just saving my fades for like wizard encounters.
So we have 2 runners still on stream here. Both of them are in the Earth Cave, and so this is going to be a fast seed. Files has the Ruby. Sho that if you didn't hear, Ruby was an Ice Cave, and that's where Files went to. And so he's killing the vampire now. I believe Bismarck is in the same sort of situation. Oh no, he's still trying to do an Earth Cave dive. I don't know if he has floater or not. We'll have to take a look at his inventory when it comes up again.
Normally I would go Ice Cave, but the monsters are a little bit harder, and there are more unrunnables. Was it Frost Giants? What else is unrunnable in there? Maybe it. an eye. But monsters tend to be a lot more tough in Ice Cave. So
we are coming up on 5.5 minutes post the finish, and we are seeing a small number of forfeits. Maybe they're looking at the clock and realizing that they're not going to get a very good score for the round.
I'm just like happy to get a first place finally.
Yeah, Sho, that's a nice result for you. You've got a perfect score now in stage 2, and you've got that little teeny 0.01 in stage 1 that you've been worried about is going to haunt you. So you've got a few runners that you need to take out here down the stretch, don't you?
Yeah, I mean Art, and he's got what 0, and I think Edge Figaro or Mono also has like a 0 because he got first place the other day or something. Yeah, that very first, New Year's, stage 1 race where I watched the VOD and I was like 15 minutes ahead and they wiped to chaos, and then Len and I were both at Tiamat 2 at the same time, and I think I'd actually killed Tiamat 2 just like seconds before, but then I ran into a 4-pack of worms and he had a free encounterless run to the chaos room, and that ended up being like the minute difference.
I see a question in chat there from DeGroth123. Is it possible to get more than 1 chaos point per round? No, it's not. We cap chaos points at 1. And so you can either get a 1 because you didn't win anything, or you forfeited, or you didn't run, or you can get a 0 if you win. But if you ran and you're within 100% time of the runners before you, you're going to get some sort of a decimal point number there.
Yeah, and so that puts our upper threshold somewhere in the neighborhood of 75-ish minutes. So if a runner makes it to 75 minutes or so, they're going to receive the full chaos point for this particular round. They will have a chance in the future to eliminate that chaos point, as there are, I believe, 10 more races in this round.
Yeah, we have 14 races in this stage. This was the 4th one, and so our runners have 10 more opportunities to get a good result out of this.
I'm actually quite glad that I did well this race, because I'm really, really busy the next coming week and a half, 2 weeks, so it's going to be really hard for me to race. So I will definitely take this result today.
Congratulations. That's good. I'm glad it worked out for you then.
Yeah.
And speaking as somebody who was right behind you, I'm definitely glad it was you that finished and not anybody else.
Yeah, like Art has been really dominating these round two seeds.
Yeah, our racer Artea, who is running in this race, has not come across the finish line quite yet. Has just been on a tear in these flags. He won the first two races in this stage. The first one just going away, blistering paces of under 30 minutes apiece. The second race, he barely edged out Edge Figaro, who's in this race tonight. And so Artea has been just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and like this is like something that really, really works well for him with the 4 mages. So he's good with that.
It looks like poor Bismarck has wiped on the lower right-hand side and is considering his life choices and trying to decide whether or not he wants to make another attempt at this.
One thing interesting to note, 2 of our racers in this race is actually Tristal and X-Ice Blue. Both of them are struggling a little bit to make it back down over to LICH.
And now coming across the finish line in 3rd place, we were just talking about him. Artea has finished in 3rd place with an SRL time of 47 minutes and 46 seconds, so GG to him. And it's nice to see Bismarck. His white mages are back up and going to give this another attempt. And And I see some of our other forfeited racers now chatting back and forth in chat. For people that are just joining the chat room, this is the Final Fantasy Randomizer League. We are in Stage 2 flags. This is Fort White Mages. The goal is to kill Lich as quickly as possible. And you're watching some of our runners now chat in chat and also here in the commentary room about how the seed went as our last several racers finish up. We're watching Files on the lower left-hand corner deal with a pack of wizards. He's one floor away from Lich and finishing this seed. And we have Bismarck on the lower right-hand side, still looking for a progression item. Unfortunately for him, it's not here in the Earth Cave. So he's trying to make it down to see these chests down here and kill the vampire, which is part of this requirement for this seed as well.
And we do have a fourth finisher. It is X-Ice Blue with a time of 48:27.
And I have to laugh at his comment in the SRL race room. His comment is that that's the last time I ever buy exit in the first slot, which is a dangerous thing to do. Don't do it.
The exit boss is actually one of the more underrated bosses in this game.
One wrong click and out you go.
And down goes Lich on Files' side. Files crosses the finish line in 5th place with an official SRL time of 49 minutes, 24 seconds.
Talk about time warp. That's still a pretty respectable score. That's going to get you what, about 0.25 off of this race. Show you're killing people's hopes and dreams out here with that 37-minute finish.
I appreciate that.
Wasn't intended, but I'm just glad that I finished where I finished.
Looking at some of the point allotments for this round finishing, I have a 0.13 in race number 1, and I'm almost afraid that's going to stand if I don't get my own victory.
Yeah, who knows how much my 0.01 is going to come back to haunt me.
Look, it's Files. Files has joined us in the commentary room for what I'm sure will be some measured and thoughtful comments on this seed.
GG, Files.
Blah, blah, blah. Well done, show. Well done. You destroyed us.
Thank you.
Was the floater somewhere? Or am I just slow?
It was an Ordeals.
Oh, God damn it. The one time I don't go to Ordeals.
Yeah. I pulled a U. I went to Ordeals, and there it was.
It's crap. Simulator 2018.
Irony. Well, that made the Ruby ended up being an ice cave, which I'm sure you probably discovered. So having taken that just kind of locked me into the slow route, unfortunately.
Yeah. But was there anything terrible in the ice cave? I mean, Mancats had Lit 3. So that was really annoying.
Oh, fun. The Blue D's had Blaze, which is very off flavor.
All right.
Actually, I believe I don't know if either of you saw the sorcerers with Toxic.
Oh, shit. No, I did not.
Oh, yeah, sorcerers had Toxic.
Wow.
I got hit with that. That was not cool.
I threw a safety wall up right before Lich because the last thing I wanted to do was get like thundered or something like that. It ended up not mattering. I don't know if he had anything scary, but I felt like it was worth the extra turn just to not die right at the end. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty straightforward seed. Either you went to Ordeals first or you went to Ice Cave and lost 8 minutes.
So, Files, you said this is the one time you don't check Ordeals. Was there something that went into your thinking as to why you decided to go Ice first?
Honestly, the math favors Ice Cave. There's more chests. The only upside to going to Ordeals is it's faster to get to the incentivized chest. So, I don't know. I'd feel like it was a reasonable gamble to go to Ice first. I figured everyone would be going to Ordeals first, and if I went to Ice Cave first, I already have like 0.1 or 0.0 something chaos points for this round, so I was really looking for the big win. So I figured if I went to Ice Cave first, and it turned out the only way to get to Lich was there, I would most likely be ahead of everyone that went to Ordeals first. It just didn't pay out this time.
Seems like it's a pretty big gambling simulator.
So go ahead, everybody.
I just want to say the nice thing about going to Ice Cave too is that you have fades for wizards, which are unrunnable, and then the frost giant fight. But then there's also tons of undead that you can just mow down with your free harm 4. So I figured it would be easier to get through that than a lot of people might give it credit for.
So I see a question in chat. What am I watching? Sort of Super Saiyan, you're watching the Final Fantasy Randomizer League. We're just wrapping up a race of 4 white midget. Wow. 4 white mages trying to kill Lich, and Bismarck is still in the race, but we have some of our other finished runners here in the commentary room with us, including, I see down there, X Ice Blue. How are you doing tonight, and what did you think of this seed?
How about those man cats?
You got hit by them too, huh? Lit 3?
Lit 3, man cats, toxic sorcerers.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal. I got hit with a toxic. I survived barely with 2 members, and then I ran into a 4-pack of man cats who lit through me to death.
Alrighty, X Ice Blue, you can give everybody the news. We were scheduled to have our Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament tonight, but it sounds like you're having some technical difficulties.
Louisiana's coaxial cables and how companies run them are not equipped to run on cold weather because Louisiana doesn't know what cold weather means. So because of the 20-degree temperatures that we have and the snow that we have right now in Louisiana, my upload is getting absolutely destroyed. So I'm not comfortable and I'm not okay with running a PowerPoint presentation stream tonight. So we're going to be rescheduling the match until on a further day.
Sometime when it's warmer.
Yeah, hopefully.
It looks like Bismarck is angry.
Is he playing Hudson %?
Poor Bismarck is he went to Earth, didn't find anything there. He went back into Marsh for reasons I'm not quite sure of. Of course, we know that the 2 progression items he's looking for either in Ordeals or an Ice Cave, and so I believe he's on tilt % at this point.
All these flavors, and he chooses to be salty.
One thing to note, guys, never buy Exit as your first spell, and then buy Cure 4 immediately afterwards, because you are going to be casting Exit more than you're going to be casting Cure 4.
That sounds like an awful idea. How many times did you cast Exit?
I exited out of Ordeal's 3rd floor 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Intentionally buy a garbage spell just to put it in that first slot.
I should have. I had Ruse, but I wasn't thinking, and I was like, it's not going to be too bad. Level 3 Magic's probably going to be really bad. And then it wasn't, because Cure 4 was there.
I see we're also joined in the chat room now by the other half of our Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament. Good evening to Tristal. Tristal, what did you think of the seed this evening?
I mean, it was fine. Obviously, we had Fade and Exit, and that's pretty much all you can ask for, so just didn't find the right place in time.
Did you do wing strats?
Like Nugget strats, which is probably why it didn't work.
Yeah. I did hungry strats. I still need to go downstairs and eat.
Didn't work either.
So apologies to everybody that we were hoping to do game 2 of our grand finals tonight, but we will go ahead and reschedule it at some point when winter is not attacking Louisiana, so that Ice Blue can actually put on a good show. We'll get that rescheduled as soon as we can look at people's work schedules and apparently the weather, and send out passenger pigeons and just make sure everything's going to be perfectly fine.
Just blame Louisiana and blame Cox Communications because they don't know how to wire things.
Just as a friendly little update, we have Czar finishing in 8th place with an SRL time of 56:47.
Well, the good news is that Bismarck is on the right track now to find a progression item, even though he's still on anger %. But we will go ahead and continue watching while he goes ahead and finishes his seat up. He has killed the vampire, so he only has to do 1 more Earth Dive. So hopefully Ordeals is a little kinder to him than we've seen some of the experiences from our other runners.
It was a very shocking experience, and I'm pretty sure I heard some Britney Spears in the background.
Right. Since we've got all of these experts in the room, I'm going to ask the question I've asked earlier. I think I'll throw this one to Tristal if he doesn't mind. Fade shows up in level 4. And so you're not going to have a whole ton of charges for those, but it really does make a big difference between that and, say, level 5, right?
Well, yeah, certainly. So my plan here was I wasn't quite level 8 by the time I left Marsh, so I just went to the Melmon continent and fought undead there, because that was pretty much the only way to get experience, was to kill undead with the harm 4 they so graciously gave us in Caneria. So I actually walked around a little bit outside the Earth Cave and killed shadows and ghouls and geists and the like.
Second encounter after a power cycle on the Peninsula of Power was zombies and trolls, and if you can get the encounter with just all zombies, you were set.
Yeah, I did the same
That
thing.
too.
With harm 4 in tow, it was definitely a definite choice to go to the POP.
You had to sacrifice more than likely one white mage up to the zombie gods, though, to harvest their experience.
I didn't lose any of them.
They found your sacrifice wanting.
I bought a cloth armor that 1 extra absorb helped.
Yeah, zombies weren't very tough to see.
So let's play the what if game then here real quick, because this is going to happen in one of these stages where Fade is not available in one of the first 4 magic shops. And so the strategy changes pretty significantly there. Any concerns with trying to get through the wizards this stage with the resources you had? Files, I'll throw that one to you.
Yeah, I'd actually love to go first on this one, because when I went to Ice Cave first, and just talking to all the other runners here, it didn't seem like a lot of people went to Ice Cave first. Of note, the Thor hammer was in Ice Cave. So I thought once I found the Thor hammer and got the ruby, I'm like, all right, there's nothing stopping me here. Like, even if I run out of fade charges or something like that. But even if there had been no fade available, finding the Zeus gauntlet or the Thor hammer in the seeds like this really lets you attack those wizards and kind of get through that one unrunnable that seems to be the holdup to get all the way down to Lich.
Yeah, what File said.
I mean, in a pinch,
Ruby.
you can.
Was the ruby in Ice Cave?
The ruby certainly was an Ice Cave. It was in the incentivized chest, as was the slab on the way. So, just in case anyone was wanting to go to, Mirage Tower.
Hmm. I went with the alternate route of pick up floater and ordeals.
I picked up something all right in ordeals. It was the floater and something else. A lot of resets and a lot of anger. I had to mute my mic.
Yeah, Surprising Ordeals wasn't too terrible to me. I mean, I only wiped a couple times, but I did level, so I exited out after I leveled a couple times, because I was only level 5 when I walked into Ordeals.
Yeah, I walked in, I got to the 3rd floor, encountered man-cats, got lit 3 to death, ran back in, encountered sorcerers, got toxicked, ran back in, exited out on the 3rd floor 3 more times by accident trying to heal, and then I finally got the floater.
So I guess you could say you had a strong exit strategy for ordeals?
Yeah, very, very strong. I was ready to get out of there.
Bismarck nearing the item for which he is seeking. There it is. The floater has been found for Bismarck on the top of ordeals. So he can go ahead and exit on out of here. Boy, I hope that White Mage knows exit. It does. Excellent. And he'll save his game, and he'll be off to the Earth Cave here next. Stage 2, everybody in general, is sort of feast or famine. You find Fade early, or you don't find Fade at all, and it becomes a slog. What do you think is sort of the overarching strategic consideration in a seed where Fade is not available at all? What do you do?
Well, I think that you hope that harm 4 or harm 3 is available, and if they are, between level 1 and 4, then that's an effective way to at least take out Lich. And so then your next goal will be to find possibly an AoE item, like the Mage Staff or Zeus Gauntlet or Thor Hammer, like Files was saying, to take out potential unrunnables and then level.
Because really, the only unrunnable you're super like 100% gonna run into is the unrunnable wizard fight. So you need something to take care of those guys. You know, it could even be a mage staff. You could hit them with their weakness as long as you've got like, you know, an invisibility spells that you can stack evasion just so you can survive the fight. Like something to get past them. And the faster the better, obviously.
And I think maybe we should have a story time with Sforzando here for a second. Sforzando, could you regale us with the tales of the Astos that you found in one of these seeds?
2 back to back, actually. There's a chance in 4% of the random seeds that are generated that you would find a crown locked TNT with no access to fade and no what we would call power items, no mass immune, no castable items, no nothing. This will occur in about 4% of all seeds. And so essentially you and your 4 white mages have to go up against Astos and hammer him to death. And so one of the biggest difficulties being that you are meleeing with 4 white mages is that Astos's vanilla stats are already really, really high when considering fighting 4 white mages. So factor in the extra potential of even higher things, especially evasion and especially hit points. You're looking at the potential to hit him for 1 damage, maybe every round, maybe other round, you know, what have you. And so I know Artia and I have played some of these where we've gotten into 45 minute long Astos fights.
Bismarck's message is cracking me up. So he says, coming up next, 2 guys that are actually good at this game. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that that's been rescheduled, and we're stuck with him. But we appreciate the sentiment, Bismarck.
But yeah, going back to what you're talking about, Sforzando, the like it's definitely something that can happen, and you know, you always hope that there's some kind of contingency or some kind of item, like even a power gauntlet with an iron hammer would be enough to get through Astos if you get lucky.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And even only a couple of casts of the power gauntlet will help you out there.
So Bismarck on the Earth Dive. I'm sorry, Files, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I heard you say, did Bismarck already kill the vampire? Did he search Earth Cave before he went to elsewhere?
He did. He went Earth Cave early, and then wiped a couple of times trying to get down to the vampire. And then Earth Cave just takes forever to clear because the chests are every which direction to start with. And so people were dot dunning, unfortunately, before he got down to the 3rd level. Probably a touch under leveled for the attempt that he did. But he's cooking now. He's looking good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the runners that are left, Will Bloodworth and Ali Jabrep, and they're in the 4th and 5th floor of Earth Cave right now, so it's definitely close for these last 3 runners here.
As always, it's going to be interesting to get Will Bloodworth's take on this, because in watching his seat off to the side, he is definitely looking a little frustrated with this game.
Did anybody else besides me go to Ice Cave for the Ruby?
Not that I noticed offhand. A couple people went Volcano and unfortunately came out with nothing.
Did anyone else sell the Excalibur?
Oh yes, we saw that a couple of times.
That shopkeeper is definitely gonna be really happy.
He's like,
I was pretty disappointed with the return on that one.
Yeah, I was like, here come the Light Warriors with the fabled Sword of Ages, and yeah, I can give you about 3,000 gold for it.
Bismarck now on the 3rd floor of Earth Cave, taking out a Pax of Specters and Geists. So he's almost through the floor with the most danger to wizards here. And then he'll be down onto the 4th and 5th floor where the Bulls and Trolls awaits.
And a couple of wizard encounters.
Maybe 1 or 2.
I got 3.
Congratulations.
And the Wizards had some pretty high HP. I mean,
Yeah, they were pretty beefy and strong. They were hitting my like white mages for like 4 hits, 3 hits, 100 plus damage.
The EXPs were also extra beefy.
So we have Will Bloodworth finishing in 10th place at a time of 1:08:12. So we're not quite at the double-digit mark yet.
Bismarck reveling now in his impending last place finish. The joke's kind of on Bismarck because there's a whole bunch of people that forfeited out of this race, and so if you're a denizen of Speedruns Live and the SRL point system, he is actually going to get some points off of this just by fact that he's going to finish. And so it's not a complete wipe for him. And he's on stream here with a whole bunch of people cheering him on. So Chad, if you want to give Bismarck some love and give him some hype for running through the last part of this game here all by his lonesome, definitely do that. Give all of our runners a follow. And while you're at it, you should be giving Speed Gaming a follow because it's an honor and a pleasure to be on this channel, showing some Final Fantasy Randomizer to you.
Yeah, this stage is almost entirely meant for me to donate points to everybody, I'm pretty sure.
I see Will Bloodworth has joined us in chat, and congratulations on finishing this one up. This was not a pleasant seed for many of our runners this evening. There were a lot of things out there that were highly dangerous. It's always something or another in this seed. And now joining us in the as well, Will, how you doing? GG on your finish.
Thanks. I'm feeling just peachy. I made some great guesses that seed, huh?
Well, tell us about your routing. Where did you go first?
All the wrong places, I think, was roughly the summary of that. I went to, once I had, Harm 4, I did my traditional let's kill as many zombies as we can run. And I grinded up to, I think it was like 13 or 14, just some absurd level, because I didn't know if I was ever going to be getting Fade or not. So I figured it, better safe than sorry. And took on the Pirates, went to Elf, went to Marsh, cleared it. Then I went to, I think, Volcano after that. I found the crown, but I didn't take crown bait. And,
oh, really? The crown was in Volcano. We didn't see that on stream.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was the first chest when you walk in. It's the one where you can hug the wall right as you get to the second floor of Volcano. Before, just to the right of the party room.
Well, that must have been tempting, though.
A little bit, but I figured after I saw Show had finished, I was like, there's no way he ran Crown Quest and found that and then got all the way back there. It's like, that couldn't have been it. He either had to go to Ice Cave first or Ordeals. And I started seeing everybody else finish. After I was in Ice Cave, I knew that as hard as that was and as leveled as I was, if I wasn't able to get through there, it was an ordeal. So it was everybody else's finishes that were giving me indication as to where I should have gone first.
Yeah, well, at least you weren't in last place.
That's true.
Hey, Bismarck, at least you finished.
That's right.
So that's the voice of Bismarck, our last place finisher. But really,
everybody who forfeited was last place.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. Everybody that forfeited just gave you some SRL points, Bismarck, and so GG to you.
Yeah. You notice Speed was dead the whole race? There's a reason Speed was dead the whole race, because there was no Speed. It was just runner Hudson, and then towards the end of the race, it just became Hudson because he wasn't even running. At that point, he was just taking a leisurely stroll through Earth Cave.
Crawler Hudson.
Oh, God.
So, Bismarck, tell me a little bit about the seed. What was your thought process? And we saw that you dove into Earth early after you cashed in your TNT.
Yeah, I figured. Well, my plan originally was, hey, I'm not going to do Dwarf Cave. I'm not going to do Temple of Fiends. I'm not going to do Matoya's Cave unless I don't find a decent offensive spell, and didn't find one other than Harm 4. But that wasn't really helping out too much. So I did Marsh Cave, got the TNT, bounced out, and then I figured I'm going to have to beat Earth Cave anyways. Let's see what happens. And bad stuff happened. Lots and lots of bad stuff happened.
Oh man, did you have enough charges for Fade to get through Wizards?
Nope.
Yeah,
actually, I didn't make it to Wizards. The first time I got down to one guy left and got killed by bulls, so I exited out, and I was like, well, this ain't working, so let's go to Pede City and grind there, and that didn't work out.
No.
And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now, because I'm probably going to be in last place, and about that time, show finished. And I was like, well, this isn't good.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that Show, are you in here?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess what you did was you grabbed Harm 4, you beeline to, well, you got the ship immediately, went right up to Elfland, went right to Marsh Cave, grabbed TNT, and then made your way to, or like, you grabbed the canoe, went right to Ordeals, and then grinded a little bit on the zombies along the way and the zombie dragons at the end.
Pretty much. That's what it was. I was level 5 when I got to Ordeals.
Jeez.
I did get a couple levels off of zombies, and when I did, I would exit out and save. That way I could not lose them. And then once I found the floater, I just exited out and even take on the zombie dragons, and then I just beelined it for Earth. So I was level 8 when I finished.
Dang. I think I was level 18, and that wasn't intentional.
Yeah, I was 4 minutes from doubling your time. So yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so
in
a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, in a game with Artia and Edge Figaro, you would think, I imagine, that you were right up against the clock, and that probably factored into your decision of going at level 8.
Yep, pretty much. I really expect Art to kind of finish first. He's been on such a tear. It's just I kind of expected to get second in this race. But yeah, I think 3 of my wizards were level 9, so I had a couple casts of Fate, which was good because I did run into some wizards, and then of course Lich ended up being a piece of paper.
See, that was the thing, is I went Earth first as well. I kind of left that out. I did go Earth 1 through 3. I killed the vampire immediately after getting through the canal, so I had 4 Fade charges on all 4 characters, so I wasn't really scared of the encounters I was going to run into. But I came up empty on the Earth dive, aside from killing vampire, and figured, well, maybe volcano. I don't know. And it was just a litany of bad guesses, one after the next. That's kind of what this entire league round has been for me. Is just I'm always going to the wrong places first.
Hey, Will, how about that Lit 3 Mancat?
I didn't run into it. The way I was cycling.
Toxic Sorcerers?
Sorcerers I did get hit by. I was trying to remember. There was an ice cave that I got hit by. But yeah, I didn't run into Mancats. I think it was just because of how I lined up the encounter table when I went to Ordeals. I burned off the first 2 fights after Power Cycle, and then it was Medusas, and don't remember what else I ran into. I think maybe mummies at some point, but yeah, it was not bad. I felt salty as hell when I got that floater after all those bad guesses.
So if you're just joining us, you're listening to us expound in the Afterglow room after a Final Fantasy Randomizer League race. I see a couple people in chat saying what happened. What happened is that we had a fast race tonight. Winning time was 37 minutes and 50 seconds, thanks to Sho Fukumachi. I think we will go ahead and start to wrap this up. And so, Ice Blue, I didn't want to cut you off, though. I saw you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, I figured after I went into Ordeals and saw Mute Argoyles, Lit 3 Mancats, Toxic Sorcerers, I was like, alright, there's got to be something that they're really, really protecting here, and it's got to be progression. And I would have been very, very upset if it would have been Tail.
Okay, then that's a wrap. Sforzando has put the standings for this race up in chat there for everybody to take a look at. We had several finishers, just a few forfeits, and we'll talk with them later in the Discord. But I'm sure they're going to get some results before this stage. There's still 10 races to go in this stage, so plenty of opportunity for people to get a good result here. Anybody have any last words here before we go ahead and sign off and give speed gaming back to Fiesel?
Sorry for everyone that watched my stream.
Come on. I'll just say bless RNG. It's time to start praying that I actually get a guess right for once in a million times. Love to get
round 2 seats for me. Yay.
Congrats, show.
Oh, thanks. GG's to everybody else too. You know, it's not easy.
No.
Tristal and Ice Blue, we'll look forward to your rescheduled match, and super excited to have the grand finals coming up soon. Okay, guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Anybody for a salty run back on league races, since I have all kinds of time suddenly?
I might have to, just to feel better about myself.
Ditto that.
Sounds good.
Sforzando, this was an absolute pleasure to commentate with you tonight. It was a fast seat, and we were talking quick, but I really enjoyed being on mic with you.
Oh, likewise. It's always a pleasure to be able to watch some of the greats do this. It's certainly fun to play, but as a fan, as somebody who loves this game and loves this mod, it's definitely a pleasure and a privilege to be able to watch some of the greats work.
He's not talking about me.
Bismarck, someday you will win a seed on screen, and everybody will congratulate you for it.
For the record, I've beaten Split Punched once. It was like the highlight of my career.
All right, everybody. Then we'll go ahead and sign off for now. Again, I'll put the link to our Discord up in the chat here as we take off for the evening. If you want to join us and you want to learn how to run this Final Fantasy randomizer, as you can hear, we're all pretty nice people, and we're more than happy to help you get going with the randomizer as our community starts to grow. Thanks again to all of our runners tonight. Thanks to Fiesel for allowing us to have some airtime. If you haven't given Fiesel a follow and given Speed Gaming a follow, you really need to do that. This is one of the best channels on Twitch, bar none. And so for Sforzando, I'm Ikman Maya, but you can just call me Maya. And thanks for watching us. We'll see you all again soon.
Have a good night.